Om. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam kuru me deva sarvakaryeshu sarvada. Saraswati namastubhyam varade kamarupini vidyarambham karishyami siddhir bhavatu me sada. Samasta jana kalyani niratam karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Paramananda Madhavam. Okay, wonderful. So let us read the verses we covered last time. We covered 9 and 10 on chapter 4. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. Vitaraghavaya krodhaha manmaya mamupashritaha bahavo jnana tapasa utamadbhavamagataha. Okay, so where are we now? In chapter 4. In chapter 4, we are in the section where Bhagavan said, this is my divine birth and this is my divine action. Divya Janma, Divya Karma. Divya Janma. What does divine birth mean? Although I am unborn, I appear to be born. And this can be seen in my avatars, the various avatars that we have discussed. And although I am the non-doer, I appear as a doer. So he says, this is what my divine action is, what my divine birth is. Yaha veti tatvataha, the one who knows the essence of this. Tyaktva deha means having left their body. Punar janma, they don't get this rebirth anymore because there's no this birth. That Jiva realizes that in essence, I am also unborn. In essence, I am also the non-doer. And last week we spoke about extensively that pot space is that total space. So in essence, I am unborn also. In essence, I am the non-doer also, which means God and I are really one. And this is a very, very powerful verse. Now, some might wonder, how does one come to this realization that the essence of God and the essence of me are actually one? How does one come to this? He says, Vitaragha Bhaya Krodhaha, the one who is freed from attachment, anger, fear. Manbaya, the one who sees no difference between me, God, and the person. Mamupashritaha, one who is firmly rooted in this knowledge. Bahavaha jnana tapasa, by this austerity of knowledge, shravanam mananam nididhyasanam, puta, one is purified by this, Madbhava magtaha. Many have attained my being. So people have gone through this purification through knowledge. And this is what verse number 10 says. And of course, another way to look at it is one who has gone through karma yoga, bhakti yoga, and jnana yoga. And this was explained last week. So now the question that Bhagavan says, or he asks now, is that, okay, these are the people who come to me and they get purified and they attain my being. But what about others? So people might wonder, does Bhagavan have likes and dislikes? Why is it that you appear to favor some and you appear not to favor others? Why is it that you're appearing as avatar in front of, let's say, Prahlad or Mirabai, but to me you're not appearing? Right? How come when these great bhaktas seek you and pray to you, you come to them? But for me, I've been waiting for so long, I haven't seen you. Why is this? So Bhagavan answers this question in verse number 11. It says, it's not that I have likes and dislikes, but this is the reason. So now we will start from verse 11 today. Ye yatha mam prapadyante.
Ye yatha mam prapadyante.
Tans tathaiva bhajamyaham.
Tams tathaiva bhajamyaham.
Mama vartmanu vartante.
Mama vartmanu vartante.
Manushya partha sarvashaha.
Manushya partha sarvashaha.
We'll chant together. Ye yatha mam prapadyante. Tans tathaiva bhajamyaham. Mama vartmanu vartante. Manushya partha sarvashaha. What is the reason that God seems to appear in front of others but not us? Or seems to appear in front of some but not others? He says, Ye, those who yatha mam prapadyante, those who ye prapadyante, those who approach mam, those who approach me, yatha, in whatever way, tan tathaiva, means to them in that way alone, bhajami aham, I also reward them. So in whatever way people approach me, I reward them. Mama vartma anuvartante. Mama vartma, my path, anuvartante. Everybody's actually following my path. Manushyaha, all beings are following my path. Partha sarvashaha, in all ways. In whatever way beings approach me, even so do I reward them. My path do people tread in all ways, O son of Pritha. So what does this verse mean? It's not that God is partial. In whatever way we approach God, in that way we are blessed by God. So those of us who go to God seeking wealth, then what do you think will happen? We will be blessed with that. We are seeking it, thinking about it. At the appropriate time, we will be blessed with that. Those who are going to God and seeking good health, may everything be okay, may everybody be well, in a certain amount of time, that will also happen in some way or the other. Those who are seeking knowledge, I want to know you, I want to know this truth, they will also be blessed this way. Those who are seeking liberation, I want to be liberated from the cycle of birth and death, they will be blessed this way. So Gurudev gives a very, very beautiful example. Bhagavan is like this electricity. And in our homes, we have this electric outlet. Now, we can use our electric outlet and plug the kettle. And what will we get? We will get hot tea, right? We can use that electric outlet to plug what? The computer. Then we will get this nice Zoom class. Or we can use this electric kettle to plug a heater, right? If we need an extra heater, then we will get heat. Now, the electricity behind that plug is the same. The electricity behind that plug, that outlet, is not doing anything. The electricity does not have likes or dislikes. But when whatever we plug, it blesses. So if we plug this kettle, we will get hot water or hot tea, right? So Bhagavan says, you cannot blame me now if people are not getting this knowledge or they're not getting liberated. It's not because I don't want them to. I do, but nobody's seeking that. We're not seeking that. The tragedy of our world is that we use God for the world. This Bhagavan, this all-powerful, all-capable Bhagavan has the capacity to grant us liberation. But we travel miles and miles. We go to Bharat, we go to a beautiful temple, we look at the form of Bhagavan, and what do we pray for? Please, I hope my job is secure. May my son or daughter get married. When will I have a grandchild? This is what we pray for. That Bhagavan, who's so capable of giving us moksha, the highest thing in the whole world, we go to Bhagavan and we say, please give me something in the world. So we seek God for worldly things. And that's why we are getting worldly things. Sometimes we seek the world and expect to find God. We go deep, deep and experience this world, travel far and wide, meet so many people, do so many things, hoping to find God, hoping to find that permanent sense of peace. But we don't find it. Because when we use God for the world, we will get the world. And when we use the world to get God, we will only get the world. So both ways, we fail. We fail because we aren't inherently seeking that. If you and I were truly, truly seeking that divinity, we would have gotten it by now. Because when you and I desire something so intensely, don't we do anything to get it? In some point in life, in your life, in my life, we wanted something so bad, and no matter who came in our way, we broke every single boundary, we broke every single wall. This is what the parents do for their children. They will break every single barrier to make sure that child is okay. You all do it. But how many of us have done it for Bhagavan? Little barrier there is, and we're like, oh, it's too hard. Do this much japa, it's too hard. Take up this austerity, it's too tough, I can't do it. We don't break those barriers when it comes to Bhagavan. We just say there are barriers and they're hard. But when it comes to everything else, we are so ready to break it. So ye yatha mam prapadyante, the way we go to Bhagavan, the way we seek Bhagavan is the way Bhagavan blesses us. There's no like or dislike from Bhagavan's standpoint. And very beautifully he says, Mama vartmanu vartante manushya bharata sarvashaha. He says that actually, ironically, everyone's actually looking for me. Everyone's actually wanting to follow my path and look for permanent happiness. Everyone's actually seeking that alone. In seeking wealth, We want permanent happiness. We don't want wealth. We want that happiness that it will give us. In seeking comfort from our family, we don't really want that comfort. We want the happiness and peace that it will give us. In seeking out a stable career, we don't really want that stability, but what innately we want is that happiness that it gives us. So he says, everybody's actually looking for me. Everyone's looking for that peace without exception. But we're looking for it under some pretext or disguise. So we get deluded. And so he says, this is what happens. This is why people behave the way they do. So if we're wondering why we are here, where we are, it's because we sought it. We prayed for it. We desired it. And that's why we're here. Then the question comes, Bhagavan, you are this, you can give moksha. You are that Vasudeva. You are everything. Why is it that people are seeking the world? You are telling us that you are the source of permanent happiness. Why are people still seeking the world? Why is this still happening? So he gives a very beautiful explanation in verse number 12. So let's read that. Kankshantah karmanam siddhim.
Kankshantah karmanam siddhim.
Yajante iha devataha.
Yajante iha devataha.
Kshipram himanushe loke.
Kshipram himanushe loke.
Siddhir bhavati karmaja.
Siddhir bhavati karmaja.
Kankshantah karmanam siddhim. Yajante iha devataha. Kshipram himanushe loke. Siddhir bhavati karmaja. So what does he say here? Kankshantah. The people are longing for siddhim. They're longing for success, karmanam, of actions, or fruition or completion of actions, results of actions. People are longing for this. Yajante iha devata. And so what do? Yajante. They worship the devatas. They worship the devatas because they're longing for the fruits of actions. Kshipram hi manushe loke. Because in this manusha loka, in this world, what happens is siddhir bhavati karmaja. That success is gained through karma kshipram, very, very quickly. So what Bhagavan's trying to say is this. Everybody can hear me clearly? Yeah, okay. What Bhagavan's trying to say is this. They who long for satisfaction from actions in this world make sacrifices to the gods, because satisfaction is quickly obtained from actions in the world of objects. So what does this mean? What is the direct answer? Why, Bhagavan, are people still seeking the world despite knowing that you are that abode of permanent happiness? Why are people still seeking the world? The answer is kshipram. Because when we seek the world, it's very fast and easy to get pleasure. So how Gurudev says it very beautifully here, devatas can also mean our sense organs. A sense of sight, hearing, smell, taste, etc. When we seek things in the world, pleasure is immediate. So if I eat one laddu, immediately I feel pleasure. If I watch some nice of my grandkid or my kid, some 1-2 minute video of them laughing, immediately I feel pleasure. If I hear something so soothing, immediately, kshipram, I feel pleasure, right? And if I smell something, someone's cooking something in the house and I smell it, I can't wait. Immediately, I feel so happy because I'm going to eat a good meal. So the idea is in this world, to feel pleasure, to get pleasure is so quick. And that's all we want today. If anybody wants to make money, all you have to do is create a fast way for things to happen, right? Because our culture has that this is what has happened. There's fast food, there's shortcut, there's quick fix. All of these things are there. Crash course, right? If they say take a 5-year course in Bhagavad Gita, no, 2-month crash course on 18 chapters, we will all sign up, right? Then when Google Maps tells you it's 10 minutes to your destination, but if you take this route, it will save you 4 minutes. Oh, everybody loves that. Save 4 minutes. Let's do that, right? Then if somebody just, gives us we just want the summary, like we don't want the whole thing. Instead of somebody telling us the whole story, just give us a summary. This much we want. Only this much we can take. So we have become like this culture of just wanting everything very, very fast and everything very quick. When we're in the airport, who doesn't wish they're in the TSA pre-check line, right? If you're in the security, you're like, I wish I had that because that's so fast and you don't have to wait. So for us, everything is kshipram. We want everything fast. And so Bhagavan says those people who want everything fast and quick and to feel that pleasure, they go to the world because in the world we will get pleasure quickly. But little do we know that pleasure is only pain. And that will come in chapter 5. That pleasure is only pain because after that pleasure, again, we feel empty. Now what? And then we will go through another pleasurable experience. And then again, we feel, now what? It leaves a sense of incompleteness. So that worldly pleasure is actually pain. It's actually plain because there's still some incompleteness there. We're not getting full. And this is what is said in chapter 18. So in the beginning, this path of pleasure or prayas or going to the world is like nectar in the beginning, but in the end, it's only poison because we're not full. We don't feel fulfilled. But to pursue God, to pursue divinity, to pursue the truth, in the beginning, it's so painful. Now, when somebody tells us sit quietly for 5 minutes, that in itself is so painful. How can we sit quietly for 5 minutes? Sunday morning when we have Gayatri Japa and I have 108 that is so painful. How will we do it? This seeking the truth, it's a slow process. It's a painful process in the beginning, but in the end, it gives one so much peace. In the summer, I got a chance to go to Yamunotri, one of the dhams. And it's so beautiful, but you have to walk 5 kilometers up. So in the beginning, lots of pain is there because when do I get there? When do I get there? And you just keep walking, but at least you can do your japa while you walk. So it becomes so much more beautiful. But then so much you do. And once you get to the temple, there's nothing like it. Just to see Yamuna ji and Ganga ji and to hear the puja, the stotrams being sung, to be there in the arati, to just see how Yamuna ji flows from the top, that's something so priceless. So spiritual life in the beginning, yes, it can feel painful almost, but as we walk, it becomes more and more and more beautiful. But this worldly life, in the beginning, it may seem like it's so pleasurable because we're enjoying. But actually, when we get into it, it's so painful. It's so painful. So Bhagavan says here, the reason why people keep seeking the world instead of God is because we get quick pleasure. We get it quickly. So then the question becomes, okay, now what are these karmas that people are involved in, right? Bhagavan, like you're saying that, okay, people seek you in many, many ways. And that's how you bless them, right? They seek you in different ways, and that's how you bless them. And also, people seek the world, that's why they're not seeking you. But you only made all of these people. Bhagavan, you only created everybody. You only created all of us. So it's your fault at the end of the day, right? You're saying we have different temperaments. We're seeking you in different ways, but you created us. So now you deal with it. So Bhagavan says, yes, I created you, but I created you in a very, very special way. So at the end of the day, it's not my fault. I created you as per your guna and karma. And this is now verse number 13. Now, this verse number 13 is another verse which is so much misunderstanding in this verse. So we will take a clear look at what exactly is Bhagavan saying. So let us read now verse 13. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam
चातुर्वर्ण्यं मया सृष्टं
gunakarma vibhagashah
गुणकर्मविभागशः
tasya kartaramapi mam
तस्य कर्तारमपि मां
vidya kartaramavyayam
विद्यकर्तारमव्ययम्
chaturvarnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashah tasya kartaramapi mam vidya kartaramavyayam. So Bhagavan said, yes, I created all beings, not just humans, all beings. Maya srishtam. Maya srishtam. This has been created by me. What? Chaturvarnyam. The four varnas. The four varnas have been created by me. How? Guna karma vibhagashaha. Vibhagashaha. Shaha means based on. Vibhaga, the differentiation of guna, qualities, and karma, actions. Tasya, of them, kartaram, I am the author of them. Api, even if I am the author of them, vidhiya kartaram, know me to be the non-doer. Even if I appear as the doer of them, know me to be the non-doer of vyayam, that imperishable or immutable one. The fourfold caste. Now, this word caste is very much misused. I'm using it because I'm reading this description. The fourfold caste has been created by me according to the differentiation of guna and karma. Though I am the author thereof, know me as non-doer and immutable. So first, let's see this word varna, right? Now, what happens very often is our Sanskrit words, when they get translated, so many different misinterpretations are there. The word varna is varnayati, description, right? And this word varna means colors or shades. Varna literally means color, shade. But color, shade of what? Of people's minds. The shades of people's minds. So here, as Gurudev says, varna, meaning different shades of texture or color, is employed in the yogika sense. So there are different shades or colors of people's minds. And this varna is based on guna and karma. Guna means these textures. these temperaments of mind, whether it's sattva, rajas, and tamas, and karma, action. So first, what is the need for all of this, right? We say everybody is created equal. What is the need for all of this classification? So the first point is that in any sophisticated system, there is a classification. There is a classification. I'll just give you a very, very basic example. If we go to the grocery, you go to the milk section, there's going to be the organic milk, the regular milk, there's going to be the soy milk, the almond milk, the oat milk, right? It's milk. But because there's so many different kinds of it, there's a classification to suit the different type people who drink milk. So it's not just one milk is there, but because there's different types of people. So then if you go, let's say, to buy toothpaste, there will be different kinds. There will be the one which has whitening, one which has fluoride, one which is herbal, one which is for sensitive teeth, right? This classification is actually a sign of sophistication in the sense that it's really meeting that person's needs. Because some people have sensitive teeth, so they have to use Sensodyne. Or some people prefer herbal. They don't want to use any chemicals. Okay. Some people need fluoride. Okay, use fluoride. So when there is some kind of classification, it's really meeting the needs of people, of all of the things here. So therefore, Bhagavan says, yes, I created this, and I created this system based on people's mental temperaments. So now we are all familiar with sattva, rajas, and tamas, right? Sattva is predominantly when all of us have these gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, but one is predominant, right? Sattva is normally when it represents a mind that is quiet, calm, and very clear. Means it's able to hold knowledge, it's able to read, it's able to study. The rajasic mind is the one that's active, that's dynamic, that's ready to do things. And the tamasic mind is predominantly inactive and kind of dull a little bit. And so when we see these different temperaments, then what he said is, listen, based on this guna, based on this temperament of mind, then what you have now is a karma that's suitable for it. So for a sattvic predominant mind, one who is calm, who can hold knowledge, who can focus, who practices austerity, then they should be in these fields which come very naturally to them. Like what? Like research, like, let's say, teaching, like advising, like scientists, things that demand so much reading, studying, doing all of that, a lot of book work, things that demand all of that, then a sattvic mind should pursue it. Because a rajasic and tamasic predominant mind will have a really tough time. And they won't want it also, right? And so they should engage in those kinds of fields which match their minds, because it will bring out, it will make them happy. It's so natural to them. And when they engage in that field, everybody prospers. Like we saw this in chapter 2, right? Like Einstein, I mean, for a mind like that, thank God he's engaged in science. Imagine if somebody said, okay, you be a businessman, right? The whole world would not benefit from such a great mind. And so, and then for someone who's a rajasic predominant mind, then engage in politics, engage in protecting society, in administrating, in bringing things together, in leading. Take up this role because they would be so great at it. And the one who has rajasic followed by tamasic, rajasic followed by sattvic should be the administrators. Rajasic followed by tamasic are the ones who are entrepreneurs, right? They have this drive. They have this drive to collect funds, to put resources together. And they should do it. They should do it because that's their tendency. That's their guna. So go shine in that field. And then there are some minds that they're predominant tamasic in the sense that they have a hard time leading themselves. It's easier if somebody tells them what to do, because they have a difficult time doing, or they have a difficult time having that own enthusiasm or taking initiative. They're not the ones to take those initiatives and lead, but they would rather follow and support. And that's really important too. So then they said, okay, then you take this task of being the supporters of the laborers of society. And so they were called Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, respectively. But Brahmana is the thinkers, Kshatriya, administrators, right? Vaishya, entrepreneurs, and Shudra, the workers. And this is not, the thing is, this is not a Hindu thing or an Indian thing, right? This is a very important point. This is what we see in the whole world. If you go to any company, there's gonna be the advisors, the think tank, right? There's gonna be the brahmanas. There's gonna be the CEO, the administrators, the people who are really ruling the whole organization. There's gonna be the accounts and finance, the vaishyas, who are gonna collect money and make sure that the business progresses. And there's gonna be the shudras, the people who are gonna support in any which way they can. So this is not a Hindu thing or an Indian thing. This is something that we see in everywhere. It's just describing the temperament of the minds of people. And all Bhagavan Krishna is saying is that per these temperaments, when they engage in those actions which match their temperaments, then they succeed. Not only do they succeed, but everybody succeeds because everyone's shining in their own field. And that's the vision for it. So many times what happens is the vision of our Shastra, because it's not interpreted correctly, because it's not studied properly, it gets taken out of context. Then it becomes polluted also. And many times what happens is people like to quote things, quote this verse in the Bhagavad Gita, quote that verse, send a WhatsApp. That's wonderful. But if you really want to know the heart of what it means, then study it where it is. What is before it? What is after it? What chapter does it come in? What is the message? What is the thought flow? All of these things are thoroughly missed when we do not study properly. And this is our problem. Our problem is that anything we read, we kind of believe because we have intellectual inertia and we don't pry into it. So this is the vision of that vibhaga, that classification. Now having said that, what does it mean? How come people feel like it's by birth? Or why is this sentiment there? So first of all, nowhere in the Bhagavad Gita does it say it's by birth. You can clearly see in the verse, it's by guna and karma. And in fact, there are many instances where the birth, even in our scriptures, in our own scriptures, that birth doesn't mean that they're in that particular guna or classification. And I'll give you some examples. We have Vedavyasa. Vedavyasa was born from Rishi Parashara and and Satyavati. Satyavati was a fisherwoman. Okay. Now, first of all, that's it. There is no limit to this caste has to only marry this caste, or however they use that word, right? There's no such limit. There's no such thing as that if you're born of a certain caste, as how they say that you have to stay there, because Vedavyasa clearly, even though he's born of Satyavati was a fisherwoman, and Rishi Parashara, he was clearly he was a think tanker. So it doesn't mean just because they're born into something that's what their varna is. There was no such thing, and there was a fluidity in the system. So you will have somebody like Valmiki, who was from a family, Ratnakar, his name was from a family of dacoits, and he turned into a sage. So you have all of these things happening. There's no such thing that people are born into something. Then another thing, another misconception. So one misconception is people feel that you are born into a so-called caste, right? And this caste is not a Sanskrit term. It's not a Sanskrit term, right? It's the way the foreign interpretation of varna. So it's a misinterpretation. The second, misconception is that there's this hierarchy, that one is superior than the other, when actually everyone is equally important. Now just think about this, right? There's no like this is high or this is low. Just think about the vaccine. Think about it. I just want you to put this example in your mind. First of all, there has to be people who make the vaccine. That Brahmana, think tank, scientists, they have to make this vaccine. Then we have to have people to administrate the Kshatriyas and see now how do we put this out there? Where are the needs? Who gets it first? How do we distribute it? Then we have to have the Vaishya, those who see that it meets everyone's needs. It should not just be a money-making thing. It should meet everybody's needs. And then you have the people, also the Shudras, who drive and deliver the vaccines. Now, if you didn't have the people who actually made the vaccine, that would be a very difficult thing. But you can make the vaccine and not able to distribute it. Now, that's also a loss. And sometimes that happens in the field of medicine, that so many are kept and they turn stale and we have to throw it away. Then if we do not have the proper finances, that also, it won't work. And if we might have all this, but if we don't have people to deliver, to drive it there, to bring it to people who we need it, who need it. I mean, if we don't have those people, I mean, how much, people in the trucks, they brought everything, the mailman, even the home test kits, they sent it, they delivered it. If people didn't do that, where would we be? So it's not that one is more important than the other. It's really that we cannot survive with each other, without each other. We cannot survive without each other. And if anyone thinks of themselves to be higher or lower, if anyone thinks of themselves to be higher, they're actually low. Because that is actually such a wrong notion that one is superior to the other. We cannot do without the other. If you take another example, like if you take a school, right? So you will have definitely the principals and the teachers, right? Then you will have also the people who are the administrators in the whole school. Then you have also people who are collecting money for the school, making sure their finances. And you have the people who take care to maintain the school, to keep it clean, to keep it tidy, to keep it safe. You have the people who drive the children to school. I mean, without any of this, it won't work. If we do not protect the Brahmanas, what will happen is we will have a loss in education, in thinking, in research. If we do not fund this, if we don't take care of this, we will lose all of it. If we do not take care of the Kshatriyas, those who rule society, those who, who take care of to see that it's just, we will lose that. Society will break down if we don't protect our leaders. If we don't protect our Vaishyas, we don't take care of them, we will also go down. We will also topple because no finances. And if we don't take care of all our Shudras, those who support us, There's no one, nobody will be able to do that work. So this, Gurudev says it's not a competitive thing, but it's a cooperative thing. So this is what was envisioned for that Vedic society, is that everybody works according to their temperament. And when everybody performs their dharma or karma according to their temperament, they reach the heights of mental purification in their own fields. And that's the beauty of it. So the first misconception is that it's not by birth. Like, it's not birth, it's guna karma. The second misconception, that it's one is higher or one is lower. It's not like that. The third misconception is that, okay, so you're saying it's by guna and karma, guna temperament, karma action. That means we can judge people by their actions, right? So if somebody's a clerk, or they would be Shudra. If somebody is a leader, he would be Kshatriya. If somebody is a teacher, she would be Brahmana. Can we judge it like that? No, because the action is based on the guna. So actually the main thing is the guna. The main thing is the guna. And that's why when people, we have our students who are in high school, they take this aptitude test to see their temperament, and then to see where they would fit in what field they would fit in best. So the main thing is the temperament. And I'll give you such beautiful examples. We have people like Kabir Dasji. Now, if you look at Kabir Dasji, his profession is weaving. Then automatically you might think, he's a Shudra, but his temperament really is that of a Brahmana. I mean, so much wisdom and knowledge came from him. So we cannot say that because a person is in this profession, that this is what the person is. Ultimately, you and I really cannot say, because ultimately it's the temperament of that mind. So another beautiful one is Janabai. Janabai, she was the maidservant in Namadeva's house. But she clearly, in her abhangs about Lord Krishna, she was such a deep thinker. So we cannot say that because this is your profession, this is your varna. We cannot say. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's really that person's mind. And there could be somebody who's a businessman, and he's a businessman, and slowly he's evolving to a very sattvic state. And so he has meditation in his office. He has an altar in his office. Everybody takes time for silence. He reads some beautiful passages to his staff. That person could be so sattvic, right? Maybe it's just that in that point in time, he cannot leave his business. But his mind could also be so incredibly sattvic. So at the end of the day, we cannot look at people's actions and say, this is who you are. It's really that varna. So that's another misconception that sometimes people have. So these are the 4 varnas. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam. This is what the first line means. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam. I have created these 4-fold varnas according to guna and karma. And then, what is this the main thing that Lord Krishna wanted to tell us? Actually, the main thing he wanted to tell us is tasya kartaram api. Even though I appear to be the doer of these, I am actually the non-doer. I am that imperishable non-doer. What does this mean? This means that now Sri Krishna is revealing that Divya Karma to us. That he, in his true nature, is that pure consciousness, that pure awareness, who's really the non-doer. It's really the body, the mind, the intellect. All of these things are instruments in through which everything flows. But from the standpoint of pure consciousness, he's absolutely unattached. He's absolutely untainted by karma. So what this means, we will see in the next class, because it's a very, very beautiful and deep concept. And I want to take it up the next class so that everybody, we can open it up nicely. Yeah. Now here, there's one question I will answer that in front of everyone, so that it's a nice one according to the Varnas. When one is very stressed, constantly unhappy in the profession they have chosen, is it a sign that the chosen job is not in alignment with the guna? Or is it just the guna itself causes agitation no matter which job they choose? This is a very beautiful example. So the first thing is that when one is stressed and unhappy in a profession they have chosen, is it a sign that it's in alignment with the guna? So there could be many reasons. One is not maybe getting along with the co-workers, right? There's some issue with the co-workers. The other one is maybe the vision is not in line with the company's vision. Just our thinking is very different from the way the company thinks. These could be like some kind of things that wherein we feel stressed and not satisfied with our job. But let's say these things are okay. Yeah, a big reason for being unhappy in our job is when our guna doesn't match that profession. That's a big one, because we may have a different temperament, and then we are put in a certain job, and at some point we won't be able to work there anymore. Now, I can give you my own example to attest to this. So, you all know I was in the fashion field and jewelry field and all of this. And in the beginning, I thought this was what I wanted, but after some time, I really couldn't sit in my desk anymore. I couldn't go to work. It means I went to work, but I couldn't work. I was working, but I just such a distaste for it. Such a big distaste for it. And it was nobody's fault. My boss was very nice. My coworkers were very good. I had a really nice time with everybody. But after some time, I said, I cannot keep doing this. I have to go. So that was a true sign that it just didn't match my guna now. I had to leave. So sometimes this can cause that kind of unhappiness in profession when it doesn't match our guna, right? So it's not normally like the guna itself causes too much agitation. It's that the match is not there. And that's why we find unhappiness. That's why people will say, I don't have job satisfaction. I don't feel fulfilled. I don't feel like the best in me is coming out. All of these things people will say. And a lot of it has to do with the alignment of the guna and the karma. And this is the beautiful thing of our Shastra. I know everything happens at the right time and at the right place. Sometimes I wish I studied this verse beforehand, then I would know. But yeah, this verse tells it all. And you can even see the application of it in the Western field, right? They insist, or they really ask us to take these aptitude tests to see where we fit. So this is a very, very beautiful tool if we look at it clearly. And not only that, but even for people who are employers, right? For people who are employers, then it's also understanding what kind of guna are my employees or the people who are working with me. What kind of guna are they, and in which karma would best fit them? Now that's also a very beautiful thing. So having this understanding will create lots of fulfillment around the people, around the people we work with and we serve with. So it's not seen as this verse is actually very, very interesting, very applicable if we look at it in its true meaning. There's one more question. If we have, is it possible that our social system has invariably created this wide rift in the status between Shudras and other Varnas? We obviously see the wide difference in how these jobs are remunerated, paid. There's no equality in remuneration. Perhaps this creates society to label one better than the other. So again, everything, the way society is structured, right? In what happened, I'll just maybe take a minute and then I'll close. And then those who want to be part of this question and answer, you can stay. But what happened in our society, unfortunately, throughout time, power corrupts. Power corrupts. Oh, we see that, of course, nowadays. Power corrupts, right? Knowledge also can corrupt. When people become selfish, when people become selfish, instead of leading lives of selflessness, all of this comes into play. And then there becomes this feeling of superiority, inferiority, and the widening of these gaps. This is how this all happens, is that when people start to become polluted by the knowledge and the power they possess. But more of this we will take up next week. More of this we will look into and take up next week. I'll say the closing prayer. I'll make a few announcements, and then the rest of the questions that you've sent me, we'll go through after the prayer. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om, everyone. So my announcement.